God's story, your life. Unfolding short stories.
What's the reason you're returning this? That question froze me in my tracks because there was the answer and then there was the answer behind the answer. See, when you're a parent, the one thing you want your kids to have is friends, right? You want them to have friends. You want them to have a normal childhood. And that was really hard for me because I didn't have a normal childhood and I didn't have a lot of friends. And so I have this young teenage son. He's smart and he's bright and he's athletic and he's funny, all the things I wasn't at that age. And he had a hard time making friends. I'm like, what is the problem? And he kind of just wanted to stay at home and play video games. And so one day he comes to me and says, Dad, can I get a bike so I can go to the park to see my friends? I'm like, let's go. I mean, it was like, let's get in the car, let's do this. And so, I'm still kind of a value guy, so we drive past the nice bike shop and we go to Target. And I pick out a really cool looking bike for Target. And we get home, he goes to the park right away. And then about an hour later, he comes back, he's coming back on the driveway, and he's not on the bike. He's walking next to it. And I go, what's wrong, buddy? He goes, Dad, the bike's not working. And I go, that's kind of funny, we just bought this bike. What's wrong with it? He goes, it's not working anymore. And I take a look at the frame, and the frame is broken. And I go, what happened? I'm pretty sure we bought a bike that was functional when we left Target. And he opens up and says, Dad, there were some kids at the park. They weren't my friends, but they made fun of my bike, and they broke my bike. Sir, what was the reason for your return? I snapped out of it, and I realized I was replaying this whole thing in my head, and the poor Target customer service person is waiting for an answer. So I was honest with them. Thankfully, Target has a great return policy. As long as you have your receipt and you give them a sob story, they'll probably accept it. But round two, I made sure my wife got involved in this one. So she brings my son, drives past the Target to the nice bike shop, gets a bright orange bike for him with these big old tires. It's lightweight aluminum. It goes as fast as a rocket. Of course, it was also the cost of 5 Target bikes. But it was worth it for our son. And the only responsibility I had was to get the bike lock. I could handle that. He has a bike lock for this very nice bike. So as soon as he gets this new bike, he loves it. He's riding around the neighborhood every single night, just taking rides. Like, Dad, I'm going. Where are you going? See friends? No, I'm just driving around the neighborhood. And so he's doing this day after day, and this was in the springtime. And then all of a sudden, summer comes. It's summer break. And he asks me a question I was so excited to hear. He goes, Dad, can I go with my friends to the beach for the day? And all of a sudden, all these, teenage summer movies are coming to my mind. He's living out this dream. I never did this as a kid. He's going to hang out at the beach with his friends all day and just do nothing. It's going to be the time of his life. He's never going to forget it. And so he goes out the first day in the morning. He doesn't come back until late at night. I'm not even worried. He comes back with a sunburn and a smile. I'm so excited. And then he does it the next day. And he does it the next day. And then day 4, it's the afternoon, and I get a phone call from him. Dad, can you pick me up? My stomach just drops. I get in the van, and I'm just zooming I'm trying to figure out what's going on. I didn't even ask what. I just don't want to have another situation. And there he is standing as I find him. It's a big park. There's like multiple playgrounds, and there's the beach, and there's multiple parking lots. And I find him standing, and he's not next to his bike. And he gets in, and he is so apologetic. He goes, Dad, I'm so sorry. I find out he had been with his friends that day, like every day before. And, they've got a little spot where the picnic area is, and they leave their bikes there, and they go swim, and they come back. And he said, one time I was in the water, and I went back, and my bike was gone, Dad. Someone stole it. So all of a sudden, we go into, like cops mode. I'm like, we're slowly driving down every driveway of the neighborhood and scanning, because this is a bright orange bike. If it's around here, we're going to find it. And so we do that for hours that one day. And then the next day we do it again, and we do it again. And then every day, we just kind of take a little less time. We're just kind of losing hope. And after about day 3 or 4, I prayed. I said, God, this is going to seem so silly. And I don't know how this is going to happen. Can we please get my son's bike back? Because it's so much more than just the bike. And so I'm still scouring Facebook, from time to time. But it's, we're just kind of giving up and accepting this bike is gone forever. And then a few days later, my 4-year-old daughter asks me, Dad, can we go to the park? Sure, there's like 5 parks around. So I'm taking her to the park I usually go to, and it's so funny, she's like, Dad, no, not this park. I want the park by the lake. Okay, we usually don't go to that one, but it's got a decent playground. Let's go. So we're driving into this playground, the park by the lake, and as we're going to the playground, there's a tree, and there's this black bike leaning up against the tree. And just out loud, I'm telling my daughter, well, I hope that person takes that bike, because there's like a bike epidemic going on here where people are just stealing bikes. So I'd hate to see that bike go missing. And there was no one else around. So we're playing, hanging on the monkey bars, playing tag, and I just kind of get curious about this bike. So I walk up to it, this pitch black bike, and I notice that there is a chip of paint on the middle bar. And underneath that black chip of paint is a little bit of bright orange peeking out. And so I look under it because there's a serial number on every bike. And I call my wife, I say, honey, you've got the serial number, right? Yeah. Well, here, let me just see if I can read it to you. I had to scratch off some of this paint. And lo and behold, it was my son's bike. Somebody had taken it from that park, that same park that we were at, taken it, spray painted it so clearly they knew that if it was ever spotted again, I'd figure it out. We were on the case. But for the life of me, and I'll never understand this, the bike was returned and put back where it was taken. I don't know how long that bike was there. I'll never know this side of heaven why it happened. But I tell you what, that bike, again, meant way more than a bike. It was more than just a symbol of my son having friends again. It was more of a symbol than me kind of reliving my childhood and having a second chance at it. That bike is now a permanent symbol in our life that God answers prayer.
The Unfolding is a Wow God production, a ministry of the University of Northwestern St. Paul. Discover more at wowgod.com.